The other cadets shuffled nervously as Instructor Vortak's 4 eyes swept across the amphitheater. Susan felt Evan tense beside her, his jaw set in that stubborn way she'd learned to recognize over their 3 months at the Galactic Defense Academy. "Today's exercise," Vortak announced, his translator rendering his chittering speech into flat standard, "will test your capability to maintain composure under stress. You will each be paired with a Kryn youth." A collective murmur rippled through the diverse assembly of species. Susan caught the worried glance of a Peluvian student, its crystalline features flickering with anxiety. Even the normally stoic Grendoth cadets shifted uncomfortably. The Kryn were apex predators from the Outer Rim, massive, 6-limbed creatures covered in chitinous armor, with mandibles that could snap through reinforced steel. They were also, surprisingly, one of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, having conquered their savage instincts through millennia of philosophical development. But their young were different. Kryn juveniles operated on pure instinct for their first 5 years, remaining completely feral until their higher brain functions fully developed. "Humans," Vortak's gaze fixed on Susan and Evan, "you will go first." Evan stood, his human frame dwarfed by most species in the room. Susan followed, feeling the weight of hundreds of alien eyes upon them. They were the only humans at the Academy. Earth had just joined the Galactic Council 6 months ago, and humanity was still largely unknown. The instructor led them to a reinforced chamber. Through the transparent aluminum wall, Susan could see 2 Kryn juveniles, each the size of a Terran tiger, pacing with predatory grace. Their armored bodies gleamed under the stark lighting, and their multiple eyes tracked every movement with disturbing intelligence. "The exercise is simple," Vortak explained. "Sit in the chamber with the juveniles for 10 minutes. Do not show fear. Do not show aggression. Simply exist with them. Your biometrics will be monitored. Excessive fear responses result in failure. And if they attack?" Evan asked calmly. "The chamber has emergency protocols." "Probably." The instructor's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "No cadet has been permanently damaged." "Mostly." "No." Susan caught Evan's eye. They'd grown up together in the rough neighborhoods of Detroit, had survived gang territories, and worse, before earning their unlikely scholarships to the stars. This was just another Tuesday. "Ready?" Vortak asked. "Born ready," Susan replied. The door hissed open. Susan and Evan stepped inside, and the lock engaged behind them with ominous finality. Through the observation window, they could see the gathered cadets pressing forward, morbid curiosity overcoming their fear. The 2 Kryn juveniles immediately oriented toward them. Their nostrils flared, scenting the unfamiliar prey. One made a low, rumbling sound, the kind that bypassed rational thought and spoke directly to the lizard brain, screaming, "Run!" Susan sat down cross-legged on the cold floor. Evan did the same, leaving about 2 meters between them. "Just like the stray dogs back home," Susan murmured. "Except these have armor plating and neurotoxic saliva," Evan replied quietly. "Details." The first juvenile approached Evan, circling him slowly. Its multiple legs moved with fluid coordination, like a biological machine. It lowered its head, mandibles clicking inches from Evan's face. Susan could see her friend's pulse hammering in his neck, but his expression remained neutral. The Kryn opened its jaws, revealing rows of serrated teeth, and exhaled directly into Evan's face. The smell must have been horrific, but Evan didn't even blink. Then the juvenile did something unexpected. It sat down, right next to Evan. The chamber went silent outside. Through the window, Susan could see Vortak's 4 eyes, widening in surprise. Several cadets pointed excitedly. The second juvenile approached Susan now, more cautiously. It circled her twice, 3 times, analyzing this strange, soft-skinned creature with no armor, no natural weapons, no visible threat. Susan remained perfectly still, her breathing steady and deep. She'd learned long ago that fear was a choice, not the feeling itself, which was automatic, but whether you let it control you. The juvenile sat beside her, its armored flank pressed against her shoulder, heavy and warm. Susan could feel the thrum of its alien heartbeat, the rise and fall of its breath. Slowly, carefully, she raised one hand and placed it on the creature's chitinous back. The crin made a sound soft, almost like a purr. Outside, the amphitheater erupted into chaos. Vortak was speaking rapidly into a communication device. Other instructors rushed to the window. The cadet observation area devolved into excited chatter in a dozen different languages. Susan glanced at Evan. He was actually smiling now, one hand resting on his own juvenile's armored head, scratching behind what might have been an ear analog. "Think we passed?" he asked. "I think we just rewrote the test." The 10 minutes elapsed. The door opened, and Susan and Evan stood, but the juveniles followed them, unwilling to separate. Vortak entered cautiously, staring at the docile predators as if they'd spontaneously evolved into herbivores. "This is unprecedented," the instructor admitted. "In 15 years of conducting this exercise, no species has achieved such rapid acceptance. The crin juveniles typically remain hostile or merely tolerant. They've never shown to affection." "We're pack animals, Instructor," Susan explained. "We evolved alongside wolves, learned to understand predator psychology. It's in our DNA. And these guys?" Evan added, still scratching his juvenile's head. "They just want to belong to something. Don't you, buddy?" The crin pup made that purring sound again. Vortak's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "Perhaps Earth's admission to the Council was more fortuitous than we realized. Humans may not have scales, or armor, or natural weapons, but you have something else entirely." "What's that?" Susan asked. The instructor's eyes gleamed with what might have been respect. "The ability to turn predators into protectors. The galaxy may need that more than strength." As they left the chamber, the crin juveniles reluctantly separating from their new friends, Susan heard the whispers of the other cadets. The humans had done the impossible, and somewhere she smiled, knowing that humanity had just announced itself to the stars, not with weapons or threats, but with the simple, revolutionary act of kindness toward monsters.